Oh, I think we are at such an incredible, exciting inflection point. And one of those inflection points is like, should I be terrified and put my head in the sand and avoid all things AI? Or should I be curious and lean in and see what it looks like? But I think AI is going to transform the workplace potentially incredibly powerful ways. Our roots, our source to say, what is it that we do that differentiates us and makes us unique and invaluable? And I think that comes back to humanity. It's going to mandate we accelerate our humanity.
Let's not lose that, but use AI to help us.
And I think AI is going to be like that. It's going to amplify us, which means that we need to go back to that core and make sure we have the structure, the container, the right setting to amplify.
Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Business with a servant's heart. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk on life. Our guest will share his life story. We want you to success in life. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk on life. We're gonna talk on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are gonna witness.
Shout out to my sponsors, A Mind for All Seasons. Your brain is your greatest competitive edge, so why not optimize it? Just text optimize to 72000, 72000 for instant access to 6 quick videos that help you think faster, remember more, and stay focused longer. A big thanks to Epic App, the 4-step storytelling system I use every day to connect and to convert. Try it free. Email me at stever1961@gmail.com. That's stevr1961@gmail.com, and I'll get you the free app. Doing Business with a Servant's Heart was just named top 6 in small business marketing. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. You know, you meet a guest a while back, it's been a few months, and you get talking in 5 minutes, and you talking like we've known each other for 50 years. Well, I'm old. I wouldn't say 50. She's like 25, so let's say 15 years. But this is the power of connection, and that's one of the things she does. But we're going to bring AI into it, and humanizing AI, and bring leadership into that as well. She's got an incredible book we're going to talk about. I think she's got multiple books that we're going to talk about as well. But before we start, 2026 is the year of gratitude. So we're going to start with a gratitude for you. I've got these cards here. And today, audience, the hardest climbs often lead to the most beautiful views. And apropos, she's in the mountain today in a ski resort. So climb those mountains, because you know what? Your business view is going to be wonderful. With that being said, let's bring our guest on. Camille, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. And I love that quote, because altitude gives you that perspective to really reconnect to what matters.
You're so passionate about leadership. I felt that when we first met. Where'd that come about?
You know, I think I've always just been really curious about people. If my dad were still alive, he would tell this story about when I was 3.5, I started asking him questions that my siblings didn't ask till they were in their 20s. So I've always been curious about people, but I love working with leaders because that's the inflection point, right? Leaders are the people who, when you activate their heart, have the potential to drive massive change across systems. So it's that ripple that's powerful.
Yeah. Well, curious is a great word, like serving or serve this. Some people call it a skill set, some people call it a mindset or habit. What do you think it is, or is it both, being curious?
I think it's a value. I think it's a mindset. I think it's a choice. It's a discipline too, right? Because I think what we're seeing in our world is it's so easy to go, this means that. And we're at a time of so much polarization that if you can pause and just be curious and sit with the question what's right about this, rather than automatically poking at what's wrong, all of a sudden doors open, possibility emerges.
Discipline is so powerful, because that's an entrepreneur's toolbox. If you don't have discipline in your toolbox, resilience, multiple things we won't get into, that's powerful. Yeah, bread and butter. And it helps get you past the little dips, and because you're going to have dips. Even big business has dips, the summit you're at, the ski resort, they're going to have dips. Less people this year, next people it's going to be packed and whatever it may be, and getting through that. Well, let's jump in. AI, humanity, and leadership. Two very odd words put together. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, I think we are at such an incredible, exciting inflection point. And one of those inflection points is like, should I be terrified and put my head in the sand and avoid all things AI? Or should I be curious and lean in and see what it looks like? So one massive inflection point. And then I could carry on, but I think AI is going to transform the workplace, potentially incredibly powerful ways. But when it becomes better at things than we are, all of a sudden we have to go back to kind of our core, our roots, our source, to say, what is it that we do that differentiates us and makes us unique and invaluable? And I think that comes back to humanity. So AI is...
Go ahead. Go ahead. No, finish.
I just think AI is amazing, and I think it's going to accelerate. It's going to mandate we accelerate our humanity.
I think you just solved the AI problem. You're so darn smart. Because, and I don't know if you understand, and audience, listen to this. Talk about your core. Steve Ramona's core, Camille's core, Camille Preston. Let's not lose that, but use AI to help us. That's where I think humanization goes away, right? Am I on the right path here?
Yeah. And there's a saying that when people win the lottery and they get a lot of money, that like, if you were nice before you won the lottery, you'll become nicer. If you were grumpy before the lottery, you'll become grumpier. And I think AI is going to be like that. It's going to amplify us, which means that we need to go back to that core and make sure we have the structure, the container, the right setting to amplify.
So do you think, this is such a great show. I've done a lot of AI shows and I love it. So do you think, because it will take jobs away? I mean, I hear people talk about it everywhere. It will, that's definite. Is it maybe there's missing links in those jobs and it's a good thing that AI is taking those jobs over?
I think it's really hard to see from where we are to where we're going to be, because it's like there's a couple rocks that we have to step into, and so I think right now the uncertainty is causing people to contract and cling on to what they know, hold certainty more tightly. We're seeing that in job hugging. I think if we grow ourselves so that we can embrace uncertainty, we can build our discernment to use AI and say, this is good, this is bad. If we grow ourselves, it's going to create a whole new wealth of possibility that I think is going to be fun, because we're going to be able to move aside all of the stuff we don't love. I'd love to figure out if I could automate dishwashing, emptying the dishwasher and doing laundry, but that's not there yet. But it's going to open up the possibility. Like in my own work, like I get curious, I get a question and I pop into, and I can learn so much in such a short period of time. And then I take that information in and sit with it and do the human aspect of it. So it's partnering. Is that aligned with what you're seeing?
Absolutely. And I heard a mentor, I think Jason Perry, I'll shout out to him. He's a big AI, speaks all over the world, a guest on my show. He talked about the horse and buggy. And then next thing you know, we have Model T cars. Well, didn't jobs change? Whatever, picking up poop for the horse, that job goes away because there's no more horses. So somebody's got to do something with the cars. Put oil, change oil, things like that. AI is following that path, I would think, right?
Yeah. And what you're talking about is a scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset, like a contraction versus a possibility.
Yeah, that's powerful. I'm glad you said that. So let's talk about AI and leadership, because leadership and humanity go together. We talked about before the show, being human as a leader, being up front, all those different things. Talk about that, how we can partner those up together.
Yeah, I think I would take the audience back in time to during the pandemic. What we saw was a lot of CEOs bringing a lot more real to the table. They brought a lot more humanity. They brought a lot more of kind of like the highs and the lows, and they had to really figure out in their privileged world, how do they connect with their stakeholders? And so they brought their full self, or more of their full self, and that authenticity helped people connect. And I think that I've seen that pattern in my own life, but I think that idea of being able to be real, like this is what's really hard, this is what's really good, and then bring it forward is essential to the humanity, because what AI does is it kind of contracts us. The way the algorithms work, they kind of push everything towards the norm, which is okay as long as we're aware and curious. And we need to make sure we're expanding ourselves just as we're expanding our use of AI. Does that resonate?
It does. And you mentioned something, COVID, kind of pressure, something new, something different. Nobody's experienced it. You know, one of those like 2008 with the stock market, weird unicorn events is what the financial world calls it. So you're saying, and I love hearing this, the pressure from those CEOs, their emotional intelligence had to go up because they had to, or they die. I hate to use that word, but, right?
Empathy, vulnerability, authenticity had to go out there. One of the concepts that's in the book is that tension creates consciousness. If we can hold the tension, everything that's uncomfortable, we actually grow. And for athletes, tension is like the extra reps that you put in. Like you're exhausted, you're fatigued, but you keep going. That tension actually grows your muscles more. The same tension happens in us as leaders. How do we hold the complexity of the times we're in and not just reduce it and say it's black or white, it's A or B, but hold the complexity. When we hold that, we actually come up with better solutions. And that's a differentiator. AI can't hold the complexity as well as the humanity, right? And so an example is leaders have to hold the complexity of the situation and the humanity of the stakeholders and figure out, based on all these variables, the path forward.
Powerful. And tension, if you can learn how to handle tension as a CEO, entrepreneur, XY, et cetera, you're going to be pretty darn good at your job, what you do, right?
And I would say everybody should practice it. I'm, again, with my kids on a ski vacation, and we drove up the mountain, and my kids are anxious, and we did not make it up the mountain. We had to turn around and park at the midway station and get a ride up. But just the tension in the car of like, you're uncomfortable, dad's driving, you got to manage that, give dad the space, right? Like that was a teachable moment, and that happens everywhere. The world has so much tension right now. The more we can hold it, preferably in our heart center, and connect it with our source, our values, our roots, our servant leadership, the better off we're gonna be.
I love that you teach business and it spills over in life. And it does. Business and life spill over. You work, you got a job, husband, kids, there's a crossover. There's no balance. I don't think there ever will be if somebody does come up with that. Yeah, exactly. It's bringing them together. Well, you mentioned the book. Let's bring it out because I'm super excited to talk about the book. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So the book is called Living Real, Redefining Success, Happiness, and Presence. And it actually came out of a really difficult season. I had 5 deaths in 5 months. And it was just like, the first one was my closest, most beloved family member. And, as a culture, we don't deal with hard things. People will kind of acknowledge a death, but then they're like, it's been 3 days. Are you doing the carpool for the kids for soccer? Or are you going to be at that business meeting, right? We don't know necessarily how to hold grief and process grief. And so when it happened in these waves, it stopped me, and I had to step back and just re-examine how is it that we're doing life, what was at the foundation. And what I really saw was that life is like a sine wave. It's highs and lows, but as a culture, we've stopped talking about, feeling, almost acknowledging the hard things. And as a result, when we don't feel the hard things, we actually lose our ability to feel joy. So it's a contraction. We start to shallow. We live in this narrow band. And for anyone who's listening and sees all these perfect Instagram posts of families always happy, and you're thinking, why am I yelling at my kids right now? Or why am I not feeling this success in the workplace? That's the shallowing. People are only seeing parts of their lives. And it's when we see the whole highs and the lows that we can harvest the learning, we can grow ourselves, we can have more empathy for those around us, we can have more compassion, we can be a better leader because we've connected into the full range.
Leadership falls in life and business. You might be right. Yeah. You're an admin. Yeah. You're a leader there, and you're a mom or a dad or grandfather. You're leaders in many different ways. It's powerful. I love living real. So give us a description on real when you mean that by your book.
Yeah. So I should be able to pull this up in my mind. It's about, I apologize.
That's okay.
I could pull it up. I actually have it on my pad here, but when I think about reeling, I think about reconnecting to the parts that matter most. And so for people who are listening, it's removing what's misaligned and no longer serving us. So many of us have shoulds in our lives. So many of us have things that we think are part of our identity, but they're no longer connected to our source, our core, who we are. And then that when we move away the parts that are misaligned, we can engage more deeply with what matters deeply and truly. And then that allows us the space to have that full range of emotions, to have that full experience. And then it lets us be more present in where we are. And we can post that in the show notes for people who are interested. We can actually post a summary of the book in the show notes for people who are interested. The thing that the book really does is it asks you to challenge assumptions that we all take for granted. Like, what is happiness? What is success? And we've spent so much time chasing other people's definitions that we've lost sight of it. And this is why I think AI is really exciting, because it's disrupting so many of these assumptions. Like, if I get a PhD, then I'll be set for life. Or if I have an MBA, or like, if I have And so it's really giving us, whether we want it or not, this incredible invitation to recalibrate and to question so many things. Are you seeing this in your world too?
Amen. Absolutely. And two words come to my mind: social media. It is screwing up the world. Sorry, audience, if you're scroller, whatever, the dead scroll, whatever they call it, you go through. And I've been caught up. You're transparent. I've been caught up. But it's not. I think that's where AI is failing, because of social media. The people that love it, like us, are saying the right things, and you got the other side saying, "Oh, it's going to be Terminator and all that." It could be anything you want it to be. And I love real, because a servant's heart is real, and that means you're going to say no to people. You're going to be real and authentic to Joe Smith and go, "Hey, this is not working. I'm going to release you as a client. I think I've got another opportunity for you that would be better." And that's why I wanted to ask about living real, because audience, if you're a servant's heart, I had to learn. For 20 years, I said, yes, 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 yes. Lost thousands of dollars.
Yes, 100%.
And lost lots of time. Go ahead.
And scrolling is a way that we numb out. We stop feeling. We stop being present in our own life. We're like checking this out, checking that out. We feel justified. But there's so many ways that we are unconsciously numbing ourselves. Alcohol, surfing the web, Netflix, shopping, all the other addictions. But it's a way that we detach from what's really happening in our world. That's powerful. You and I, we haven't talked about this passion, but the joke I have about the book is that I had no intention on writing a third book. And the book, like Source, I think, woke me up at 4 a.m. It was like, knock, knock, knock. Here's the entire outline. And I rolled over. I was like, 2 kids, 2 books, I'm done. And it kept knocking. And my mantra was like, if I'm meant to write this book, make it clear, make it easy. And less than 24 hours later, someone dumped this data on my desk about mental health, like the burnout, loneliness, depression, anxiety. And it's like, what we see is it's peaking because people don't know how to feel, and they feel like, so there's a whole section on that, but that mental health we are hitting a crisis point, and Living Real is an antidote to that. And so while the book came out of grief, it actually is really a book about, my dear friend just walked in, the book is actually about what's happening with technology and how technology is shallowing our lives. So I'm so excited that you and I share this passion, because I could not agree more.
Yeah, and you're being real. When you wrote the third book, you were being real. And the audience, that's the perfect story for that. It kept knocking, and you go, I've got to do this. Got 2 kids, got my husband, I got all this going on, but I had to be real and put it out there, and it's been fabulous. We'll get how you can get the book later. Here's the thing. Go ahead.
It connects to a lot of what you talk about, which, regardless of your faith, I believe that we all have a source, like an energetic source.
Yep.
And we spend so much of our life forcing things, like I should, and we put a ton of energy, or we resource, throw money at it. When we connect to our source, doors open and things become much easier, much more powerful. And so for anyone who's listening, who's saying, oh, I can't add another thing to my life and feel so big. Connecting to source is this unbelievable gateway that can open you into infinite power and energy and sustainability.
Yes, and I'm doing that, launching a coaching program, because so many people I've coached, like, they keep forgetting the stuff I give them. I said, well, here's a location we can all go. When you said should, does it sound like I should say could, not should? I could do this because the source is telling me. So just flip that word.
Yeah. Well, you and I are saying the same thing. So many people live by shoulds rather than want tos. And so when you see all of the expectations that have been layered on us, and then you start to say, what is it that matters to me? Like, who am I? What is it I care about? Like, that's getting to the real, and then that unlocks so much possibility. So for anyone who's listening who's been made redundant because of AI, I can't imagine how much that hurts. And if you can reframe it as an opportunity to find that connection, that desire, and how you're going to serve, it's a huge opportunity, potentially.
Words you've been using in this show, audience, is empathy, love, caring, authenticity. You can never say that word. Being genuine, being real. Those are the words. I hope your audience, you're writing those down and focusing on one or all those words. And I'm saying we're coming to the end here, which I'm ashamed. We're going to bring her back for sequel 2, for show 2, for the sequel, because personally, just because I want to listen to you again. I'm sure the audience will too, but a little selfishness there. But something I've learned, Camille, talking to now a lot of high performers, very successful people, some of them have a hard time being authentic. Why is that the case?
Yeah, it's I think the part that, especially for people who are sitting at a place where they've been successful, but they feel maybe a little dead inside or disconnected to themselves, is they get rewarded and reinforced for showing up and performing. And they know there's the possibility of healing, but they don't want to risk losing the success. And that's an illusion. Like, that's the work I often do, is I work with super high performing people who are interested in bringing their authenticity. Even for people listening, they don't want to bring authenticity. They just want to bring their head, their heart, and their body to the table so that they can engage their full self. It's easier than people think, is part one. Part two, it's going to be essential, because as AI accelerates, expertise becomes ubiquitous, your wisdom, your full embodied head, heart, body, mind is what's going to differentiate you. Your discernment is going to be essential. And those are the things that we work with leaders on: growing their capacity from the inside out, building on successes, and taking that one up.
You threw another word in there, audience, compassion. Throw that to that list of words that I'm going to write down. I've written some of them down. And I'm not going to be political here, but a story I heard about Barack Obama was every morning when he leave the White House, he would say goodbye to the janitor. Or when he came out, I don't know, they always acknowledged the janitor of the White House.
Every player on your team.
Compassion, doesn't matter. I've talked to my business partner, Max, shout out. He'd go clean the bathroom if it needed to be clean. He was the CEO. And that's what you're saying, and that's partly what you're saying. Well, we're going to end the show.
Can I add one thing?
We got time.
I think for leaders, modeling the vulnerability and the curiosity about AI, bringing those together, bringing your own humanity and uncertainty while you're also looking into the future is a really powerful stance. Because when we're honest, we don't know what the future looks like. There's uncertainty ahead, but when you model it, you give courage to those around you.
And that's the challenge. And that's why it's so hard. And that's why people are worried. And that's why people are talking negative about it, because it's going to be challenging. Again, I'll go back to the internet. It was we go at steveramona.com, and I don't even do any of that. Well, I got 5 of those now. We have to do that. So let's end with a fun question. This whole show was great. You're absolutely brilliant. But I want to know a little bit more about you. So you're going to pick your favorite restaurant where you live. I'm going to reserve a table there. Me and you're going to sit down and eat. Bring your husband, kids if you want. I want you to invite 3 people who've been influential in your life, whether dead or alive, who've made a difference in your life. And then the second step, or second part of this, is important for me. What food are you going to order for the table? Because you're ordering for the table.
Does it have to be in my hometown?
No, anywhere.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so my absolute favorite restaurant is a Hole in the Wall in Charlottesville, Virginia, and it's only open for dinners. They could have scaled the restaurant, but they don't want to. It's called the Continental Divide, and you can't order takeout. You have to go in and sit, or since I've been back. So I absolutely love it, and my bar none favorite is the chicken enchilada and the pumpkin muffins. So it's just so good. So Continental Divide in Charlottesville. And they've got these great booths and margaritas. So it's absolutely, I can't wait to have dinner there with you. People I would invite. I think history repeats itself. And so I would have to think about who has seen our nation through the level of complexity and turmoil that we're in, that would have pattern recognition and wisdom to guide us. So I'd want to do a little research on that, but I would bring back a steward, a sage steward. I would bring my father back. He was just an exquisite man, and he's been gone for 11 years, and I would do anything to have another meal with him. So he would definitely be one. And then I think I would invite some, like the most inspiring president from whoever that would be, from 2040 to 2050 or 2055, and say, okay, based on where you are, what do we need to know now? Like, so going out into the future, saying, guide us, like, who is the Gandhi of the future, and say, help us understand who we need to be, how we need to grow, how we can show up, to support us coming back together and creating a space where humanity can thrive.
I love it. And nobody's picked a future person. That's a first of 500 of these questions. That's a first. And I lost my dad in 17 and 9 years ago. I'm tearing up a little bit. I feel the same thing. I'd probably invite him as well to be sure. What's your dad's name? My dad's name's Ralph. What's your dad's name?
Fred,
shout out to you. You've done wonderful with this beautiful lady. So congratulations.
Blessed by her.
Yes, this show has been so good. Done a lot of these. Your heart is so big. I know people are listening, want to connect with you. How can they do that?
Please find me at aimleadership.com, and you can remember that because AIM stands for Awaken Inner Mastery. And I think each of us has that moral responsibility to be the best version of ourselves for the future. So aimleadership.com, or find me on LinkedIn. And we have a monthly newsletter that's just with the latest nuggets, the latest wisdom. We give away all of our resources. We have a lot of free resources that are like Cliff Notes, designed to help you strengthen your container, make that gap, that leap from being incredibly successful to being successful with a huge heart, bringing those two together. So we work with high-performing leaders and are really excited to celebrate that people come to us not just because they want to be better leaders. They lead saying they're better people. So if that resonates for you, we would love to have a conversation. And if you love to ski, we do a lot of ski retreats. So come join us at Powder Haven.
There you go. Well, I'm going to do something special because I'm thinking back to our first meeting and today. Audience, here's the deal that Steve Ramona is going to do. The first 5 people, when you reach out to Camille and mention the podcast, Doing Business Servants Hard, or Steve Ramona, I'm going to send you her book. First 5 people, you'll get her book for free to learn more about living real. And I think I will impact 5 people if you read the book. I think it's going to make a difference with you. So let's do that. Just mention my name of the podcast. She'll get me your contact information. We'll make it happen. Camille, thanks again. And your call to action, audience, subscribe to the YouTube channel or the podcast. And it's any of them. It doesn't have to be mine. I'd love for you to do it. And let's use this podcast that we just recorded. If you're listening to, have a friend that's talking about leadership or AI and freaking out and their core is being messed up or they're struggling, share this podcast with them. Have them listen to Camille. She's uplifted me like crazy. I'm ready to run a marathon. I'm so excited. But think about this. Did you impact somebody when you did that? Did you give them a gift? I think that's what change humanity if we keep doing that. So with that being said, me and Camille want to thank everybody for watching or listening to this podcast, and we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.